Hi, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I'm hoping everyone's here and joined for today's webinar regarding moving to Spain. We have an expert panel of speakers who have kindly joined us for today's call. Look, the purpose of today's call is a bit of an introduction, an informative session on the ins and outs and the logistics of moving to Spain. We'll take you on a sort of step-by-step journey from start to finish, and hopefully cover off everything you need to know around relocating to sunny Spain. So a bit of an introduction to myself. My name is Remy Hart, as you can see. I'm a qualified financial advisor and senior wealth manager at Holborn Assets. I personally specialize in expatriate financial advice. So that's savings, investments, pensions. The main sort of jurisdictions I specialize in are Spain, France, and Portugal. So I've got a good understanding of the tax and legal frameworks in each, and mainly comes down to individuals and what they want to achieve as far as setting up tax efficient Spanish vehicles from a savings and investment and pension point of view. Holborn Assets is one of the largest wealth management companies in the globe. We have 22 offices around the world. We operate in 180 countries. We have 2.5 billion under management. I don't look after all of that. But I've been in Spain myself around 6 years. I am an expat myself from the UK originally. I wanted to give you a bit of a sort of introduction to the speakers today. As I said, they're very kindly given us their time and hopefully informative messages. We have the lovely Karina and Pablo from Move Spain. They're a relocation specialist company. They deal from everything regarding visas, immigration, insurance, healthcare. We'll go through each individual speaker and run through that step-by-step journey. We've got Oscar, a lawyer and owner of I can't say it, Oscar, Ejuren Abogados.
Fairly good, a good one, yes.
My Spanish isn't quite as good as most of our speakers. And then we've got Miguel from Spence Clark. Spence Clark are tax accountants here on the coast in Spain, specialize in looking after anything from personal business tax to general sort of taxation filing reports. And then the lovely Carol from Currencies Direct, one of the largest currency companies in the world, joining us today again from the South Coast. Karina and Pablo up in Madrid, and the rest of us down here in the Costa del Sol. Guys, for the viewers out there, I certainly don't have an affiliation with the Spanish Tourism Board. I don't know if you guys at Move Spain do, the amount of people you get visas for, but it's not, today's call is not about promoting the idea of moving to Spain. You know, there's going to be people at all different stages of the journey thinking about moving to Spain, in the process of moving, already recently moved. And I'm sure throughout the journey that we take you on, there'll be parts that will be useful to you. And we just hope that you go away with more information and a better sort of understanding of the ins and outs of moving to Spain. So without further ado, we'll make a start on the journey. As I said, a bit of a step-to-step guide. Now, when it comes to thinking of moving or planning a move to Spain, we would tend to think, what visa do I need when we look at immigration? So the lovely Karina and Pablo at Move Spain, you guys want to give us a bit of an insight into what you guys do and the first steps, I guess, as a process?
Sure. First of all, thank you everyone for joining. So we first want to make a quick introduction why we have decided to start this business. I mean, we have relocated to many countries multiple times, and we are always helping people. So when we came to Spain, we said we need to make a business out of this because we are good. I mean, people are coming to us. Maybe because we didn't charge, but it was also because we knew how to help. So this is why we decided to start this business. So we help with all the visa, all different visas for coming, and that's probably the initial step. So first step is, do you have a visa? Are you a resident? So we will help you with that. Second step is, do you have a property? We can help you renting a property, buying a property. We can also help you with health insurance, home insurance, if you need, for example, to buy a car, rent a car, if you have kids, and we will help you with finding the right school for your kids. The idea is to provide a full service so that you arrive to Spain with everything sorted. That's our main goal.
Pablo,
Yeah,
sorry to jump in. I understand the sort of process in which you guys working, but just for our viewers out there, what would you say as a first step, just to have a initial consultation? You can understand their individual requirements and work out
That's
what
correct.
visa. Yeah.
We have an initial consultation when we can know each other and we can know what's the needs and understand the preferences, the budget, what's the area they're thinking about, if they need any advice regarding visas. We can provide you that initial step if you need a visa. And if you have that sorted out, we can start planning about when starting looking for that property. What do you need? What's the time we manage? And we can start working on it immediately or even with months ahead. So once you arrive in Spain, you have everything sorted, even especially if you have kids, we can help you doing that, searching schools on the area, visiting the properties, viewing the contracts, checking that the properties are in condition, well, helping you with everything that we'll need once you are here in Spain.
And you guys deal with the whole of Spain, right? There's not an area you pretty much don't cover.
Correct. So our main office is in Madrid, but we have a huge network. So we provide the service everywhere in Spain.
Okay. And just for the viewers out there, I'm based in the south coast of Spain, the lovely Costa del Sol, as is Oscar, Miguel, and Carol. We work sort of closely together, but we've sort of formed a partnership, quite a good partnership with the guys that Move Spain. And from a visa point of view, there's various different visas you can choose, I'm aware of. The non-lucrative visa, the nomad visa, the golden visa. When it comes to the golden visa, it's a really good sort of path for EU citizenship to allow people to gain access to the Schengen area, essentially. Now, on that side of the table, when it comes to visas, at Holborn Assets, we specialize in the investment side of the golden visa. The guys that Move Spain very much deal with the residential. So if you're looking to buy a house for the golden visa purposes, they'll deal with that directly, and we'll deal with the investment side if that's something you want to look into. But tell us a bit more about the sort of home finder service. You know, if someone's got an idea of a region they want to stay in, what would be the next steps around that?
So basically, you mean when they reach us?
No. So when they're, for example, when they need to find a property, the first step we do is an initial consultation, because we need to know what exactly are their needs. We do receive some, like a summary on an email or even WhatsApp. They can contact us through WhatsApp. It's like a generic message. So first step is let's have a free consultation so that we can know each other, we can understand what are their needs, and then we will start looking for their property. If they want to rent, if they want to buy, we will do the property research, the inspections, the negotiating, all the leasing or the buying with the real estate or the property owners, all the legal and administrative aspects as well.
All the essential paperwork. So basically, when you arrive here, you have everything fixed. And you don't have to worry about anything, because everything, we deal with that. And for inspections, for example, if you're not in Spain, we check that property, and we can do that virtually with you. So you can live that experience with us, and we can show you to the neighborhood, the walking distance, or if you have to travel to schools for kids.
And also it is very cost saving. I mean, if you make the maths, I mean, how much will you pay for an Airbnb or a hotel? Like here in Madrid, like it's very expensive, or even other areas, it's very expensive. So if you start doing all the maths, like transportation, meals, like for 30 days or 60 days. I don't know how long it will take the person for a do-it-yourself property research. So it is very cost effective. I mean, and even time as well. You will save a lot of time.
And sometimes you don't have some people, and they already have that organized when they contact us. Like, I'll be in, I don't know, Madrid from 2. And sometimes you can't arrange the inspections for that specific dates. So they need to understand, or we explain that, and if they can't do that, the inspections during that period, we can deal with that. And if sometimes they're leaving the apartment, if they have tenants living in the apartment, they need some time to leave the apartment, to paint it, to whatever they need to do with the apartment. Sometimes 30 days is not enough. And that's why we really try to explain that probably starting with the research in 60 or 45 days before arriving, that's the idea. If you don't have that time, we can manage it. Definitely we can do that. But our suggestion is to start get
the ball rolling. So anyone thinking or having that idea to move to Spain, get in touch, have that consultation with you without cost, understand their needs, their situation, and you'll help them from a sort of starting point. So Oscar, that brings me nicely onto you. If you want to give a bit of an insight into sort of who you are and what you do, but as far as a sort of property purchase, we're looking at moving to Spain and the ins and outs on it, where a lawyer comes involved in that. I'll pass it over to you.
Well, good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are. Well, the way I see lawyers, you don't need really, strictly speaking, you wouldn't need a lawyer to buy a property in Spain, but from large, vast experience for over 30 years, people who are not familiar with the system, who are from other countries, will find that we are their insurance to have a safe and a smooth purchase most of the time. I say most of the time because there are some circumstances, but we tend to sort everything out. We are a firm. We are based in the Costa del Sol. That's our main area of operations, logically. But we also can work anywhere in Spain, and we actually come into play right after the expat has found the property. Expat or to be expat has found the property. There is the market is pretty dynamic here, and they will find that they may be pushed, rightfully in a way, to place a deposit. Well, that's where we come. We like to start even before the deposit is placed, or even we receive the deposit to be passed on to the sellers once we have done a preliminary check. So what we provide is sort of security from the first moment the property is going to be bought, and then we hold the hand of the client during the whole process until we can deliver a clean title deed. That's essentially the whole idea.
I know this from personal experience, Oscar, because you looked over my contracts and for my property purchase recently. So that's the main sort of goal, right? Is to make sure the deeds look okay, the contracts look okay. You go to the notary, you will sign there. You can even have power of attorney, right?
A little bit as a continuation of Pablo and Karina have said is precisely that most of the time we get a power of attorney from the client, and then we can handle all the paperwork. So that could be when they are in the process of dealing with the visas, because the property can be bought when they are non-residents. They don't need to be resident yet. In that moment, we can start dealing with the purchase of the property, completing in liaison with the visas whenever it is convenient, and do all the paperwork on their behalf. As I'm saying, for someone who is not familiar with the system, we try to make it very smooth. But it's very much along the lines of Pablo and Karina, trying to ours is just the legal and paperwork side.
So holding the hands as we go through the property purchase, which is a big deal, right? So someone's bought a house in Spain, they have a Spanish asset. As far as estate planning, wills, Oscar, you can very much assist. I know that again firsthand, but
yes, we specialize mainly in civil law. So we also deal with the planning from the state point of view. We recommend that any non-Spanish make a Spanish will. essentially. Sometimes it's not strictly necessary again, but it is very convenient because if something happens, Spanish notaries, registrars, all the authorities will be familiar with the Spanish will, and everything will be easier for the beneficiaries. Yeah, so it's something that we strongly recommend.
Of course. Guys, I'm just going to jump in and say to the viewers, if you want to ask any questions as we go, feel free to use the chat box, and we'll try to cover off these after the sort of journey we're going through. So, Oscar, just quickly then, as far as someone speaking with you, again, you're more than happy to have a conversation with someone. The starting point would be when they've agreed a property, right? Or they found a
Yes. Sometimes even before finding the property, when they are in Spain already looking at properties, if they want to have a preliminary consultation, there's always some useful tips we can give them in the process, precisely sometimes to choose the property they want, or to discard things that are not going to be suitable, again, from the legal point of view, or strictly. And one thing we also do, and again, regarding when they are thinking about the Spanish project, and it's about taxation, because the time when they want to become tax residents is important. On that situations, most of the time, I refer them to Miguel Angel to precisely plan in advance.
Yeah,
because that's perfectly compatible with the purchase of the property. I insist, but it's interesting also the tax planning. I think it's essential actually.
of course. Miguel lovely helps out with a lot of my clients in the transition, and we'll come on to you shortly, Miguel. But regarding the property purchase, so you know, obviously being an expat moving to Spain, majority of the time your currency is going to not be in euros. Carol, I'd like to just jump to you quickly at Currencies Direct. If you can give us a bit of a sort of insight into what you do and the sort of initial steps, I guess, from a property purchase point of view. I know there's a few steps when it comes to the deposit, the holding deposit, the remaining 10%, and how clients can use your services to really benefit from currency exchange.
Yeah, absolutely. More and more people, when they're looking to buy a property or just move to another country, are looking at how to get their money there. And that's obviously where Currencies Direct come in. In a nutshell, we can get clients a better rate of exchange without all the international charges, receiving fees, etc., that are normally experienced by from the Spanish banks. Where we help them along the journey is when they've found a property, they've spoken to everyone else that's in part of the panel at the moment, and that they'll come to us and say, right, okay, we're looking to move our currency, whether it's US dollars. We deal with multiple currencies, over 42. We have offices all over the world on 5 continents. And in Spain alone, we have 25 offices and recently just opened 5 in Portugal. But the beauty of what we do is that we are on the ground. We all live here. We don't commute back and forward to another country. We live in Spain. So we know we have experienced the things that our clients are likely to experience from the money point of view, and also from the personal point of view and moving. So it's a great complement to the other services. People will get a better return on their money, and it can mean the difference between them buying the property they want versus the property they can afford.
Of course. And obviously there's some planning. We've touched on that a few times with the different speakers, but as far as buying a property, let's say in 3 months' time, would you advise opening up a currencies account? I'm just looking at the rates at the moment. I can get 1.2 euros to the pound. I might see that as a good time to trade. You obviously have traders within Currencies Direct who deal with that on your behalf, but there's no cost to opening up an account, right?
Absolutely not. And it's very simple. You can do it online. You can do it by telephone or visiting one of our offices. And to be honest, the earlier the better, because if you've got a fixed budget, if you call us the week before and say, oh, I'm looking to buy a property, we could have been monitoring the rate for you along the way. So there's no cost to register with us. There's no obligation whatsoever, but you're there and ready once you've found that ideal property. It makes sense to let us do that side of things for you, because Most people may be working or have other commitments. They can't sit on the live market and watch what's happening with the rate. That's our job. We take them through it step by step, as much as they need or as little as they need. There are more people becoming more digitally aware and quite happy to do these things, but there are also a lot of people that like to put a face to the name and be able to reach out to an office and ask questions and see somebody in person. So we've got services for people that are already here. We've got services for people that are looking to move here.
As well as buying a property, obviously there's steps as the €6,000 holding deposit, the remainder of the 10%, the final balance. Now, you guys can hold that within the currency account, right? And make the transaction upon completion of the property.
Absolutely. We work with safeguarding accounts with various banks that we use throughout the world, which means that the client's money is 100% protected because we are not a bank. We don't fall within the banking regulations. And as you said, you know, it's not just the journey of buying the property and completing on it. Those same clients may be bringing funds from another country, living expenses, mortgage payments, whatever the case may be. So, of course, we can assist. It doesn't just have to be the larger amounts involved with purchasing the property.
It's not a one-off transaction. A client will have an account for life. Any pension income, you know, can be transferred on a monthly basis, investment income and so on, right?
Absolutely. And even once they're living here and happily living ever after, they might decide to go somewhere else for a holiday. So we have a debit currency card, which they can use if they're going to South America or they're going to Canada or somewhere. If their income's coming in to Spain, then they've still got options to still get that good rate of exchange.
Good. So again, anyone would be, I guess, willing to open an account. It's worth having a conversation with you or one of your colleagues. Again, no cost, no startup fees. Get an account.
Absolutely. Open. Yes, we don't make a charge for our services. We take the client through the journey as far as they need to go for everything they need to do from start to finish.
Perfect. Well, I've got a link to open accounts. Again, I'll share that with our viewers following the call. Miguel, I'll touch on tax, everyone's favorite subject. Part of my job is sort of mitigating tax and looking at tax efficient vehicles. Give us an insight into, you know, yourself, the company, when someone should be speaking with a cross-border tax specialist like yourself.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much. Hello to everybody. It is always a pleasure to join this webinar with you guys, a good panel of experts. I'm representing as a managing partner of Spence Clark. We are a firm of registered and qualified accountants and tax advisors. We have been based in Spain for 39 years already. I have been in this firm for 24, almost alive. And we provide accounting, tax, and mercantile advice to both residents and non-residents, not only for having the right tools to arrive to Spain tax-wise, so that their matters are arranged in the smoothest way possible, but also to help them in setting up any type of businesses, whether self-employed or companies, and just to make sure that they are away from the taxman and they're very, very open hands. Logically, after individuals have decided to appoint Karina and Pablo to be their team for dealing with the immigration and residency permits, after having chosen Oscar as the lawyer to help them with the purchase of properties and all legal issues, and of course, after having chosen Carol and her team to make sure that when they transfer money in currency, they are not going to suffer the very punitive bank commissions on which Spain is very famous of, then it is always important to, in parallel and in conjunction with that, to make sure that before arriving to Spain, to understand what are the Spanish tax residency rules, as well as what are the different taxes that they would have to face in accordance with their current income and assets they own worldwide. Same as in other countries, Spain has its good things, but also it has its very bad things. And the negative things about the Spanish tax system can very easily sorted out with a little planning in the beginning. Just to give you a very rough idea and basics, Spanish tax residency is based on the calendar year. So the tax year is between the 1st of January until the 31st of December. A person can become tax resident here when staying more than 183 days in a calendar year. That's the most basic rule. But there are other conditions that if you comply with, you may become being tax resident, regardless of the number of days. And most important, there is no concept of partial time residency applicable here in Spain. In other words, the concept of I am tax resident from the 1st of May 2024, which is the day I formally arrived to Spain, would not count. If you arrive in Spain that day and you spend here the minimum number of days, 183 days, you would have to pay taxes on your worldwide income from the 1st of January and not from the date of arrival to Spain. I'm saying that on purpose, just to highlight how important it is to make all these planning arrangements, because we have seen many situations whereby English, British citizens have sold their property early in the year within the tax year end, and then they immediately jump into Spain. Unfortunately, in many cases, the sale of the UK home is totally tax-free in the UK. But if they sell that property in the same calendar year that they arrive to Spain, they would have to pay capital gain tax in Spain by accident. And this is something that it can be very easily sorted out by just simply postponing your effective date of arrival until the second half of the year.
Exactly.
Also, we have 17 regions in Spain, and each region have their own rules, particular rules about income tax, wealth tax, inheritance tax. In some regions, there is inter-spouse exemption on inheritance. In other regions, there isn't. So all these matters have to be checked carefully, because basically it can save you taxes, although it is making our life more miserable, I would say, because we have to keep on checking if there have been any last-minute changes in such and such regions. But that little planning in advance will definitely pay dividends in the future for the clients, because they can come here from scratch and without any surprises. So this is what we do, and what is the sort of advice that we always recommend to clients who have the intention to come to Spain.
The different regions do give me a bit of a headache, but why we sort of lean on your expertise. Miguel, you touched on a point of sort of partial residency. Yanis had a question of dual tax residency. He's currently a full-time employee in the UK. Like to know if he can be staying in Spain 4 to 6 months a year. Would he have to pay taxes in both countries?
Well, the answer is yes. It is not a straightforward question, but basically, if that person is not remaining in Spain for more than 6 months in a calendar year, the Spanish domestic legislation and also the dispositions of the UK-Spanish double tax treaty indicate that that person will not be acquiring tax residency status. So that person will remain being a tax resident in the UK, and for the 3 or 4 months maximum that will be spending working remotely will not make him or her being tax resident here.
So under the magic 183 days. If not, speak to Karina and Pablo and work out how you're going to stay longer. So as someone's become a Spanish tax resident, Miguel, they've bought the house, they're sort of set up. What sort of ongoing support and service do you provide?
Yes, apart from the tax planning advice that we can provide in due course, once they have physically established in Spain, we can help and assist them in proper tax registration in Spain so that they can record their status as tax residents in Spain. We can also guide them on how to register their new status in the UK, just to make sure that there are no situations of double taxation, and then advise them with all the necessary compliance of the tax filing obligation. There are 3 important tax declarations to file. One is the income tax declaration, when they have to declare their worldwide income. The second one is the wealth tax, which is the informative declaration that you have to file to declare the ownership of your worldwide assets and pay taxes in Spain depending on the region where you live. Normally, if you have assets exceeding 700,000 euros, you have to start paying that wealth tax. Very unfair to me because it is a very unpopular tax that we have here since 1978, and that was improved in 1991. Since then, it has very slightly changed. But basically, it is taxing individuals on having savings, the savings of which they already paid taxes when they generated through that income. No? But it is something that has tried to be alleviated, and it has never worked because it's a very political tax.
Well,
nevertheless, this is what it is, and every 4 years we see the situation whether taxes can be improved in Spain or not, depending on the political parties that are governing our country and our 17 different regions, and also depending on how the Spanish economy is at that moment.
And you don't really recommend people completing their own tax returns by themselves? I know that from first-hand experience.
It is difficult. If you say to me that your only source of income is your Spanish employment income, you have a salary from your employer, and that's it, and a couple of children's allowances, then you can do that yourself using the tax office website, because for this type of income tax payers, all the information is already provided through the tax office website, so that you can see how powerful at the moment the tax office in Spain is. Just simply press the button and that's it. But whenever you have other type of income, in particular when you are selling properties, you generate capital gains from selling shares, bonds, etc. If you have non-Spanish income from other countries, then it is very important to appoint an expert who can guide you in the preparation of those taxes, and also how to best apply the deductions and exemptions applicable in the double tax treaties. Spain has signed double tax treaties with many countries that guarantee, I was going to say all the time, but in most cases guarantee that a person will not be paying taxes twice on the same income. Such treaties, together with the domestic legislation, indicate which is the country that has the exclusive right to tax certain income, on how to best share the taxation of such income. But it is very important to know those rules, because we have seen many cases of clients who came to our office who have been paying taxes literally twice on an income that then they could not deduct the tax paid at source in Spain because the law did not allow them to do that. So the message here is that, in particular, when you are just arrived to Spain and you are not familiar with how the Spanish tax system works, get into the hands of professionals who are able to give you all the answers and all the explanations in accordance with each particular client's circumstances.
I couldn't recommend more having someone like yourself involved in the taxes, as you've helped personally. I'm sure it's a useful project or something to plan, especially. Now, there's a couple of sort of questions coming in. I've just got one from Andrew to Miguel. I think it's regarding a sale of house in Ireland and being exempt. A couple of sort of specific questions, personal ones. David, I think, mentioned about the non-lucrative visa. Now, I'd recommend speaking to the likes of Move Spain or Miguel directly. Look, following the webinar, I'll send over an email with a link to my calendar. I promote the idea of having a free consultation with me, whether it's 10, 20 minutes. I'll get a bit of an understanding of your situation, what your plans are. We'll sort of redirect you to the relevant expert speaker we've had today. You'll have their contact details. You can get in touch with them directly. Look, touching on myself again and what I can help with, once you do become a Spanish tax resident, you're leaving behind assets in your country as far as the finances are concerned. Like the UK, you have an ISA or a pension that may be tax efficient in the UK. When you move to Spain, they lose those sort of benefits. So that's where I come in. I specialize in looking at alternatives, Spanish compliant, tax compliant investment vehicles, pension transfers. We can look at moving that away from the UK, getting more control and flexibility over it. We can liaise certainly with Miguel as far as taking what would have been a tax-free lump sum in the UK, with some good planning, like we keep mentioning, taking that before you become a Spanish tax resident allows you to get your hands on that without tax. If you do become a Spanish tax resident, again, it doesn't become tax-free in Spain. So there's going to be a lot of individual circumstances and situational conversations to have. And as I said, we promote the idea of speaking with anyone and everyone. I'm sure, the idea of moving to Spain is lovely. It's 300 days of sun, and I'm sure there's plenty of people our viewers know who would be interested in moving. So, pass on our details. We all very much work in an introductory basis and thrive off referrals. So the more people we speak to, the better. It builds our reputation, builds our businesses, builds our internal partnerships, and we'd love to hear from you. So there's a couple of quite lengthy questions. I think I'm going to come back to certain questions directly. I think there's one aimed for Oscar as well. It looks quite individual sort of circumstances. Again, you're going to have my email. All the viewers would have had an email direct from my colleague Dean. Dean's my junior advisor. He works as part of our sort of sub team. Another point of contact for you. But as I said, we welcome the idea of a free consultation just to get to know you, understand your situation, what your plans are. If you've just moved to Spain or you're thinking of moving to Spain, again, we're here to get the ball rolling. We've created this sort of panel of experts, we keep calling ourselves, but there's years of experience here. I'm 35 years old, maybe not quite as much, but we've got a Spanish dream team, and just generally to cover all areas from immigration, visas, finding a property, the solicitation behind the property, estate planning, currency conversions, and all tax planning aspects and ongoing tax reporting, as well as financial advice. We're very much happy to help, as I'm sure you can tell from our smiley and lovely speakers. But guys, is there any other comments from the panel speakers? All good?
Well, perhaps the only comment for some people who come to move to Spain and find it difficult, I would say that they should also try to adapt. Legal system, customs are different. So don't try, as I say jokingly to some of my clients, don't try to drive on the left-hand side of the road when you come to Spain. Try to get adapted a little bit. And then you will take less aggravation for things that can be sorted out with our help, with the help of everybody here in this panel.
I think it's been a bit of a key point, right? As far as pre-planning, and the more organization you have around this, by all means, turn up in Spain, rent an apartment and try and buy somewhere and see what happens. Speaking to professionals who are expert in their fields, we cover all areas here quite simply. And the more initial information you have and research you do with the help of our services, the better placed you're going to be. So as I said, we'd love to speak to all of you, any friends, family who are considering a move. The details are going to be shared, as I said, following the webinar. There will be a link to my diary, so feel free to book that. I'm in Portugal for a wedding in the next few days, but at any time in my diary, let me know. There'll be details for each speaker here as well, so feel free to reach out individually. I'll put a link up to Currencies Direct as well to open an account. Feel free to get one started. As I said, there's no cost in doing so, but we're happy to speak to anyone and see if we can help. So